Weather. A big part of my life. No storm chaser has ever said I've never busted once in my life. Majority of them will be busts. My favorite storm, favorite tornado. Is that enough for you? Or that dented car? Yeah, our bust. Chasing, exhilarating. I feel it's a tremendous amount of energy when I go out on a storm chase. If I'm in a bad mood and there's a good setup, I know it's going to be a good day. I'm going to have a good time with friends and fellow chasers, and even if we don't get a tornado, it's still going to be a good day. Just being out, watching the atmosphere, watching Mother Nature do its thing. You get one, it's amazing. High risk, high reward. Every aspect of weather is my life. So I've been into weather ever since I've been a child, ever since I was in kindergarten. I was watching the Weather Channel, and I was always doing like little maps with crayons and stuff. A lot of people are like, oh, weather, that's weird. You know, my nickname was Sam the Weatherman. But nobody really swayed me. It was very weird as a child because nobody else liked it. Nobody else was like, weather, and you like weather? It's like, the weird thing is I was always afraid of thunderstorms as a kid. So I would want thunderstorms to come, and I'd like to track them and, you know, watch them come in. But right as they were about to come, you know, hit Chicago, I'd start freaking out and everything. And that lasted until the age of, I'd like to say around 12 or 13. And something changed, and I just loved thunderstorms, and I wasn't afraid of them anymore. And it may have been my grandma, God rest her soul. She always talked about weather. She was very weather savvy. And that may have rubbed off on me as a very small child before I could even remember, and that could be it. The meteorology program, you know, 30 miles from my house, that really kick-started everything, and that's where I really got the idea to start storm chasing. It seemed absolutely phenomenal to go out in the field and watch Mother Nature on stage, not through a book. You can only learn so much sitting in a classroom or looking at radar on a laptop. You can only learn so much, you can only go so far with that. The first time I went out in the field, back in June of 2009, we had 8 tornadoes on that storm chase. And I learned so much in those 10 days, just watching a storm form from a cloud into a storm, into a supercell, and then drop a tornado. It's an experience, yeah, that I will never forget, that first storm chase. Seeing lightning at night in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the plains, with no civilization anywhere around. Seeing that, maybe blasting some Steely Dan or some Pink Floyd in the background, and just watching a never-ending light display for an hour or two on end. That is magnificent. Aurora, Nebraska tornado, and I think June 17th, 2009 was that. Just being 3/4 of a mile away, that was the closest I've ever gotten to a tornado. Being that close to it, just to hear that was the only time I was able to hear the howl of a tornado. When people say, oh, it sounds like a train's coming, that's the only time I was able to hear that sound, and still be a safe distance away from it, which is key. We actually did have little pieces of debris or insulation falling on the van at that time, but again, the tornado passed safely to the south of us, and that was probably one of the biggest adrenaline rushes I've ever had, and yeah, by far the best tornado. Racing aspect, if you know what you're doing, you're safe.
White circle. We are where? White circle right there.
So this here is the hook of the storm where the tornado would be right about here. So it should be to the northwest right now.
There's another one behind it too, in the next couple towns over.
It is?
Coming up, yeah.
Is it coming towards us?
This one down here is tornado warn coming up.
And it's going to come towards us?
It's gonna move.
Okay.
There's always a risk in storm chasing. You can never be 100% safe while storm chasing. But if you know what you're doing, if you're with people who know what they're doing, you will be as safe as you possibly can be. The biggest threat to storm chasers is actually traffic and highway accidents. If you know what you're doing, you can set yourself up in perfect position to be a very safe distance from the storm and see everything you want. Not a Reed Timmer who has to get like in the tornado I don't believe that. I don't want to do that. I'd rather see the entire storm, see the tornado, but see the structure, see the beautiful structure, the textbook structure that you see in textbooks, but when you see it out in the open, in the middle of the plains, in the middle of nowhere, it's true beauty. Ever since I first storm chased, it's been great. I've had a great time. Some of my strongest and best relationships are in this field. And a lot of that is because of that connection with weather. Having knowledgeable spotters out on storms is a huge advantage. Radars cannot show everything. Radars are getting better, technology is getting better, but by no means are they perfect, and they can't see everything. A perfect example of the whole meteorology thing. Just, you can be wrong, you can say whatever you want, you won't get sued, you won't get fired, and you get a ton of money. It's like, okay. My high school principal, he said, "You're crazy. This man was in Vietnam in the war." And he said, "I was in Vietnam in the war and I could not do what you do. I would be terrified to go out there in front of a tornado." And this man was in a war. So I'll always remember that one. I've never felt like I was in any danger of being hit by a tornado. We've always, even in times when we're in kind of precarious situations, I've never felt that, this is urgent or this, we have to get out of here. I've never felt that. There's always risks in storm chasing. When you're dealing with a tornado or a storm producing baseball-sized hail or, 80-mile-an-hour winds, lightning. Lightning's not predictable. There's always that threat, but if you have enough passion for it, and you have enough intelligence for it, definitely worth it to get out there.